Got it. Also, let's see slide 2. Okay, there we go. So I want to give a little bit of perspective because I don't want to proclaim that Kanban is the way and everybody must do it this way or else. I do feel I'm an agilist. I've been on the agile journey. I'll say I started back in 2000s, pre-Y2K. Was anybody around for the Y2K bugs? So, maybe some thumbs up there if you were. And so we bought a couple of companies prior to that, and we had all the business we wanted to bring people up from the Y2K bug. So that's where I got introduced into doing project management, because we needed project management on all those computers. The Y2K planes didn't crash. Maybe they would have if we didn't do anything, but we were just in the business office industry at that time. So there were some computers that we didn't touch because they didn't tell us about them, and they had issues and we had to fix them. But then shortly after that, we went through that and bought a couple companies. A larger conglomerate bought us, and we went through a bunch of mergers and acquisitions and got introduced to OKRs. And before they were maybe cool, we're right now at Kroger, we're using OKRs to help manage our quarterly goals and objectives and key results, in case you don't know what that is. So along my journey, I was at Cleveland Clinic, somewhere where you guys are at now. But it was remote. Did some Mayo Clinic items, worked at Amway. That's where I met Ben, was at Amway. But I love projects so much, I got my PMP. And I think along my certification journey, I think it's very valuable to get certified. I think it provides a good understanding and a shared understanding, right? We can all talk similar language because we have that certification and understand what it means. Also, I think it goes into deeper to why some of the tools and practices of why we bring them, why we have those tools and practices that we put in place. So in 2019, I got my KMP training, which is Kanban Management Professional. And then shortly after that, Kroger made me I think it's accredited Kanban trainer, so that I could train others here at Kroger. And I'll go on to the next slide here. Okay, so I want to still work on my perspective, if you will, where my view is coming from. And the Agile Manifesto. I believe, since we're here at a PMI, I believe the Agile Manifesto, which came out around 2000, I hear, 2001 maybe, came out because of not necessarily PMI, but how many project managers were saying, by the book, we got to do all of these 30 documents, and we spend 40 hours on them, and maybe use a 5-minute conversation, if that, on some of them. So I believe they came out with this because the developers and the project teams were getting upset with this first line, right? Individuals and interactions over processes and tools. And I just want to call out here that a lot of people in the Agile Manifesto, because a lot of people interpret that as instead of, right? I constantly hear when I talk about documentation, they say, wait, it says working software, not documentation. So actually, I'll get into this in the next slide. So another key point here is I love this Deming quote. He's the father of TQM, right? He popularized, can't say that word, popularized, never mind, PDCA. And he said 95% of variation in the performance of a system is caused by the system itself. So that's, system is as in process and tools. If something breaks, it's only 5% people. So we want to try to introduce some processes and tools to help, the system have better qualities. And so I say Agile Manifesto explained would be, process and tools that enhance individuals and interactions. So that's So like ours, I'll get into this actually later in the presentation, but we had our daily stand-up. That's what DSU stands by, if you've seen that slide anyways. And it took us 15 to 30 minutes. And at that time, we had about 12 people on the team. And really, it was on the longer end of it. And we went from changing our process a little bit around some of our flow. We went from 15 to 30 down to 5 to 8 minutes that we spend on there. That's usually on the bottom half of that. Now we still schedule 30 minutes. I like that as a practice or a tools, because we leave some time for 16th minute if there's some things that we want to talk about afterwards. And then also, like today, we had someone that's going away for a month, so we kind of talked about that. So that's team building. So there's time left for that, right? Or time available for that ad hoc as you need it. So that's why I like 30 minutes. But working software, documentation that supports working software. So there's just enough documentation. So when they see our ticket, the devs have an idea, or not an idea, they understand what needs to get done, what are the acceptance criteria. The QA teams, when they look at it, they have that understand what testing they need to do to reach the acceptance criteria. And then when it gets handed off to support, they have an idea and documentation that they need to support. So it's just enough documentation. Then you have customer collaboration or contract negotiation that fosters customer collaboration. Now, that doesn't only have to mean the SAL, right? In fact, I always, when I talk, I take it back to, there's a Kanban practice. We'll talk about that in a little bit, but it's make policies explicit. So I kind of bring that documentation or contract negotiation, because it's team negotiation, right? Your ways of working, your team working agreement, your definition already, what's your definition of done, and so on. And then actually one of my favorite ones, making a plan that encourages change. I think Kanban does this the best of everybody. And we'll talk a little bit later. And basically Kanban doesn't have a cadence to it, right? It says you still meet your daily, but adjust as needed. Now, the agile mindset. I guess I want to talk a little bit about doing agile and being agile. The doing agile, where's my laser here? Okay, so a lot of teams say, here's our process and tools and the practices we're doing. Oh, and we need a mindset, when we're going through this. Being agile, whether it's Scrum, XP, Kanban, Lean, PMI, what have you, you should have a mindset around embracing the whole agile manifesto for that matter, but continuous learning and continuous improvement. And based on your values and your principles, right? And then you can work on your practices and some processes and tools. So I think that's, to me anyways, is the difference of doing agile and being agile. It's raising the level of your mindset to a higher level, starting with the mindset. So, all right, this is the way. If you want to find Mandalorian items at Kroger, you type in Mandalorian in our search box, and you get, a set of 8 items, 10 items here. I think you can click on more if you want, but I bought some Grogu Go-Gurt for my grandkids, and they loved it. So, interestingly enough, this store-bought, it's not R2D2, it's 00727272721728.5, which is the UPC, and you can buy it on at Kroger too. But I asked the robot or store-bought here, what are some similarities between Kanban and the Mandalorian? I'll confess and say it was ChatGPT, but I was impressed with what ChatGPT what it gave me, right? Both rely on visual cues. Kanban uses that visual board, right, to help communicate statuses and tasks. We'll talk a little bit more on that. And then the similarity is the helmet on the of the Mandalorian has their T-shaped visor provides some visual cues. I actually didn't know that until I read this. Both emphasize efficiency. a little bit different way, but Kanban designed to optimize workflow and eliminate waste. Where you know, the Mandalorian's a skilled bounty hunter. We'll leave it at that. Both have become popular very recently, at least in my opinion. I got trained in Kanban at my my first training or introduction into the training and certification of Kanban was in 2019. And hey, that's when the Mandalorian came out. We'll talk through a few myths of Kanban. Myth number one, Kanban is only suitable for support and maintenance work. We're not going to get this picture is not meant to, we're not going to dive into it. All I want you to understand is that there is a maturity model, and it's pretty comprehensive. And there's 7 levels starting at 0. And they just start with where you are. And so, I mean, I left on, you'll get the slide deck, I believe, and I put some references on each slide when I reference something there. So when we go through our teaching or the KMP will take you through the 0 through the 3 level and work towards 3 and 4, actually probably through 0 through 3, 4 in here. If you're interested in the KMP. It's not by us, but I'm just saying, if you're interested, it's a pretty good class. Myth number 2, Kanban has less meetings. I hear this one a lot. In reality, if your Kanban maturity level is 0, yeah, you have 0 meetings. But in level 1, and this is meant to, so there's not 17 meetings and feedback loops. They kind of build on each other as you mature, right? So in level 1, they're saying you should be doing a team retrospective, Kanban meeting, team Kanban meetings, which are your replenishment or your sprint planning type meetings, except usually teams do that twice a week versus you know, every 2 weeks or whatever your sprint time is. And then a retro. At Kroger, we'll add, we also do, we ask teams when they're getting into Kanban to also provide a demo, which is somewhat in their replenishment meeting or their Kanban meeting, actually. So the replenishment meeting is similar to the sprint planning. And again, some more link on the feedback if you want to dig in more. Kanban, myth number 3, Kanban and Scrum are mutually exclusive. Not true at all. So here's we'll get into that right here. So here's the values around the edge here. So these are Kanban values, which are similar to Scrum, you know, PMI and everything else. Kanban has 3 or 6 principles broken up into 3 change principles, which are here. Start with, already said that, start with what you do now, and gain agreement, encourage acts of leadership. We'll talk a little bit about that in a bit. Service delivery principles, understand and focus. You manage the work, manage that flow, and then regular review, right? So the 6 practices, there's 6 general practices. Visualize. I mean, it's hard to do when I can't see, but my assumption is if you're doing Agile or Scrum, you have a board that you're using, you know, start with that, right? You got a Kanban board people are using. Limit work in progress. This is a concept that will fit into Scrum too, right? There's what we're kind of saying is, hey, you can only work on one thing at once. So when your to-do column, have one thing in that to-do column. And if it's blocked, you know, work on why it's blocked and fix the block so you can finish that, what's in the to-do column. The managed flow is to set up your workflow so that it's I guess it makes sense when you start to do to done, it has some value. And make policies explicit, you know, along with pull criteria, you know, some of the Kanban language. Yeah, we'll get into a little bit later. WIP limits, classes of service, and other appropriate or others as appropriate, like your ways of working, your DOR, DOD, you know, get those set up as well. Establish feedback loops, which are either can be meetings. Feedback loops can be meetings or demos, anything that you get feedback on the work you're doing to get it to done. or to do something next, just to have those feedback loops. And then, like sprint, you have retros, right? Lessons learned in PMI language, right? And so I don't know, I guess maybe they could, is everybody in the same room, or is everyone on just online? Is it?
Yeah, this is online.
Everyone's online. Okay. All right. My assumption is actually doing sprints versus straight waterfall. Have some semblance of sprints. I don't know if people aren't doing it or I'm not seeing it. Sort of thumbs up in there if you're doing sprints or not. No sprint. Some of my team do sprints. Okay. All right. So I just want to so Kanban is a way to manage the flow of work. If some of your again, I took this Tinker Totter row bots and their dog UPC, and they provided me with some burn down report questions, where there may be some Kanban candidates. And I won't go through all of the questions there, but they are good questions to talk about and reflect on. So if your sprints burn downs look like this, maybe your board is, hey, I'm doing, when they're supposed to, right, as a sprint burn down, they're supposed to look like this or close to that path there. But basically what they're doing most often when teams look like this, they work on it, they're waiting for QA to get done, and then they finish it all at the end, right? Or in the gap, don't finish everything they have said they were going to finish. A lot of that time is a few different reasons there, right? You could say maybe someone left the team or had a vacation, or they underestimated what their work was really at. And then you have some people that look like, am I not sharing my laser? Are you seeing my laser on that? Yes, maybe not.
I don't
Here
see.
we go.
Now,
All right. Sorry about that. Said I was connected to it, but it went away. Or the wave, right? As we started with something, we went up. Now we got down. We got some more. So straight away, right? They're not really working their plan. They're getting interrupted with new work. And this is typical of what our board used to look like. And we would bring in, started with 13 tickets and we ended with 24. So there's 22 unique tickets. Some of this math doesn't work, but that's not why I'm going to get into that. But we have 9 issues that we removed from the sprint, 12 issues that we added, re-estimated 3 of them, which I'm actually okay with. And number of issues to start, and number of issues to finish. So we really got done 13 out of the 22. So we had a very high turnover right straight away. The sprint started, boom, changing right away. Our plan quit, right, or was disrupted, not accurate anymore. And then we still got to the end and got down to our 2 to get done. So predictability matters of the value we delivered. So we took we decided that velocity is not a value metric to us or to our customers for that matter. It's what we're releasing to prod. Actually, that's one of the principles in the Agile Manifesto, right? Releasing working software into production. So we kind of took a look back at the managing our flow or velocity. And here is what the planning onion, a lot of people call this. So we have our strategy portfolio that comes down into our OKRs, and then that's our product or vision, what is our team product and vision mission and our roadmap. Our OKRs produce our what we need to build. And then we have releases. Now, in our release that's why it's unique, but our release is dev, test, stage, and prod. Our release also, unfortunately, our environment, we're working on that part of it. And we'll get into the math of how capturing the math the way we did is helping drive some of that change. But we basically have about about 25 days from when we start to when we go to prod on the long end anyways. So that's how long it takes to get from to do to done. And so we changed and of course that's longer than our 2-week sprints. So rather than managing, because there's this theory of sprints that you have to finish everything you plan. Well, our flow really doesn't support that unless we created it into 4 different tickets, right? 1 for dev, 1 for test, 1 for stage, 1 for prod. And really, in the end, that was admin time because we were only delivering 1 item, right? Yes, it went through some of the phases, but we're only delivering it. And I already talked through this, that we went from 15 to 30. Okay, so here's this busy board. Here's our board. Highlighted though, I kind of highlighted it a little bit. Now, the theory in Kanban is to be a pull system. Now, I'll describe what a pull system means for. So basically, we have. Let me step back. And then we have our pull system, and then we have our environment. So this is our dev environment. This is our test environment. This is the stage environment, and then now into prod. So the pull system is here's tickets, right? If there's a ticket in here and in the open or blocked, if it's not blocked. If it's blocked, it doesn't show it on here, but if it's blocked on our board, it shows red. So they know it's blocked. So if it's open, they pull a ticket in. Now the dev knows, signs it, gets assigned to the person, and we know that it's being worked on. When they're done, they'll push it into, or they'll move it into the review. So which is our peer review, right? They'll peer review it for code review. And when the code review passes, sometimes there's back and forth, but when the code review passes, and test is open for the feature we're working on, then it's pushed into, it's moved into test. So now the QA team knows, hey, this is ready for test, and then they can pull it into testing and start testing that. When they're done, they'll move it into test. So that keeps a track of everything that's everything they have to do to test, everything that's in testing, and everything that's done with testing. And then, like I said, we have about a 8-day window for each phase that we're in for test and stage anyways. So when stage is ready to pull, because we like to have everything in test that's done, we'll do a PR to that as a group and push it into stage. So then all those tickets now are in stage, and the QA once again knows they can bring it in and start doing the regression testing on those. And when they're done, they can move them into ready for prod. And then when our release date comes, it's almost every day we're actually checking our schedule up here, and I'll get into that a little bit later. But we'll see if the release is ready to go, or we'll push it to prod. So that's kind of the push-pull system. Another thing that Kanban brings into play, they got a class of service and work item types. There's, for simplicity's sakes, it can get into a little more detail and nuances than this, but we're treating our class of service as our columns, and we use Jira in our Jira board, right? So all of the tickets related to database graphs are all in one stream, if you will, right, under one epic. So when we talk about this epic, right, the team is talking about, no matter who the dev is talking about that subject, right? We don't go from one subject. So we're talking about it by the work that we're doing, not by person, because a person could be in a couple different places. So this we felt was the best way to do that. The other is work item types that we treat, and we're saying spikes we count as and tasks are non-code. Right, so anything that had code that we're moving to production is stories and bugs. So that also then we would put on those stories and bugs, we had a release, and that's where we started managing by release. I have these, they're a little outdated example up here, but I had these releases up here where, so here's our releases 4.4, 4.11, 4.25, and 5.9 that can be in our system. So when they hover over one of these release dates, it says I put in more of an example. So if I hovered over 6.6, it's not up there. It would say, here's our repos, right? The two different repos that this really is about. We need to be in our test environment, or we can start testing in 5.8. It has to be validated by 5.22. So when we click on that subject, we can see where is that ticket and what environment, and are we at a schedule risk, and then talk about that. That's where we focus on, is that discussion. What's it going to take to move that to the right to get it back on schedule? Or we have a conversation too, does it need to come out and go into the next release? So it's visible, we can start having those conversations. And I'll get to that question later on this one, I think. And then on the, where was I on it? ADF release. Okay, so let me look at this question. How have you helped teams, customer leadership understand that you have, and the PO system is not waterfall, particularly in team organizations, has been focused on Scrum sprints? Maybe you can expand a little bit. I think I'll get there in a minute, but let's wait till a little bit later in the presentation, I think. If I don't, bring it up again, please. And I want to make sure. So that's our, okay. Okay, so a little bit more in our visual cues, right? We want our board to be, if someone can look, and our team is good at it, right? So if someone looks at this board, it tells us a lot of things, right? One is the schedule risk, right? One of, obviously, who's working on it. Now I'll get into the ticket side over here, actually. So this is just a typical Jira card. The CSS is our source. So we have a lot of, might have a lot of CSS cards out there. So that's a source. So there could be different work streams or epics that will see CSS, but people know CSS. And here's this particular epic stream would be in there as well. So, but that CSS kind of triggers people. Oh, I've worked on CSS before. What is this one about, right? It says we have QA or small n QA as a label, if it needs QA or not. If it does need QA, we have them assigned down here. This person is Navia is the QA person for this ticket. Stephanie L here is our would be another person who's helping Juan here. I guess I don't know. I think it's Juan, but helping Juan here if there's any issues and problems with the ticket. And this is our fixed version, as we said. Now we're lucky enough that we had somewhat control of what our fixed version says instead of, version 6.27. Ours, we can use a date, so it's a quick reference when we're looking at that date. And then along with those, as I talked about before, they can hover over the quick filters, and you can do that. And if you're in Jira, everyone can do that. You can make that so if you hover over it, it gives you a display. It's up near here, but I put it down here because of the room on the slide. So like there's some other ones up here. So like on a name, I don't show the names, but if there was a name up here, you could hover over that, and instead of just saying Stephanie, it'll give Stephanie's information, full name, email, some of their EUID and stuff. And another thing is, right, this is a story, so we know it's going to be code or a change in prod. The priority, now the priority we don't use as often as we used to because we're managing the board tells us what's priority, because we want this done at 2:15, right? And if it's not meeting the schedule, then it's there. Tell me story points. We like doing 1 point equals 1 day. So kind of I think, you know, a lot of people are against that. That's another subject for another discussion, actually. But in the end, why can't your relative size at 1 pointer, that means eight hours, and then that's your relative sizing, right? And then to me, it's easier to read baseline. We have a flag. We talked about blocks. The blocks would show red here instead of green. We have 3 teams on this board, or 4 teams on my release board. So each team has a different color here. So unless it's blocked, this tells me which team it is on to, or what team it would be. But so does the person, right? When you get used to it. SPM work, we would have, which is our security plan management. So we have some reports there. So that's a dependency, and that's what we're showing there, that, hey, this needs an SPM. And it's probably why it's blocked right now. Our update, that update is UD. If it's blocked, we say, when's our next time we need to talk about it. You know, so because sometimes things, they're not going to be here till next week. We don't want to talk about it every day. So we'll just put an update date on there. Of course, this is the repo, or where it's going to. And this is another good one, is if you haven't seen that on your boards, you can add that to Jira, or there's a flag or something like that. You hover over that, and then it tells you how long it's been in that column. So we'll use that too to help. I guess backing up 1, 2, if we click on, I could click on a person on here, and if I see more than one item in the in progress column, we talk about it. Why is that? If it's over here, this is all testing, right? If it's out of the blue, if it's in test and stage, that's testing. Their names can be in there. That's one of the things of acts of leadership, where we say, if your name's assigned, you're responsible to get that to prod, right? Or keep it moving, if you will. So that's kind of where we put in acts of leadership for everybody. What is my time check here? Okay, how much time do I have?
Yeah, we have 1 hour, like the whole session from 12 to 1.
12 to 1.
And
Okay.
then depending on the questions and
Right.
answers.
All right, so I'm pretty close. So I'll wrap up here shortly. Kanban metrics are good. Our flow metrics, what they like to look at. This again isn't meant for you to comprehend it or read it, because it's pretty tiny. I got a couple follow-on slides. But cycle times, what's the lead time in days from start to finish? There's various different kinds. I'll get in that report actually in a little bit. I think what's important though is getting outcome versus output. And like output is how many functionalities are we building? How many requirements are we doing? How many interfaces have we done? How many story points did we do? It's more valuable to say what's the value of those functionalities? What are some of the impact of things that we've done? I'll say for instance, an impact can be quite a few different things. But for example, beyond a customer being able to buy something, like our process, it was taking us 12 hours to run our regression testing, and we shrunk that down to 4. And that's a huge win, right? I mean, so that means we can run our regression time. Actually, when we did that, we had less conflict during our stage to prod, because there was so much time needed, and every time you change something, you had to run a 12-hour regression report again, or regression testing. So now we shrunk that to where you can do that almost 4 times a day, because we have offshore people as well. So rather than once or twice a day. So that helps us tremendously. So that was a huge impact. Some of our data processing times, the stuff we're developing would take 10 hours to flow through the system to get from, we got the source and now did all of the curation and everything we need to do, because basically we're moving stuff into the cloud from onsite. And it would take 2 hours or 10 hours to get it all done. Of course, that leaves a lot of room for additional conflicts and bumps and other things to happen, and they did. So we got that down to 2 hours. So we have an SLA, right? That now we say things have to be 2 hours or less, not 10, not 8. So that's some of the other impact, right? And then you can have some of your behavior, right? Are they using more data? Do we have more data in there because and they're using the system more often, system users, right? And ROI even, right? We are, like I said, it takes 25 days. It used to take us longer than that. It used to take us months, 2 months, 3 months to get something from beginning to end to value. And so now we're speed to market. We're at least 6 weeks, and we're continuously working to get that done. So here's what I also we look at, and what is the effort versus duration, and the closer to 100% means less waste. The cumulative flow diagram, it can help look at flow and WIP. Let's what do I got here? I'm not going to read this whole thing, but what I want us to do, can I do that in here? I wonder if I can do that here. I can. Is this highlighted in blue, right? The faster tasks move through the development process, the quicker the business can respond to market demands, deliver value to customers, and gain a competitive edge. So FYI, I also I said, what are the benefits of cycle time and throughput? It took me a couple iterations, but I got this information from there. I tweaked it a little bit, but if you haven't used ChatGPT, that's some good time savers, because it would take me a lot longer than 30 minutes or less to put this together if I was doing it myself. Kanban cycle time examples. So get back to my laser. So there's this concept, and really you need to set up your own time, because if you look at, there's variations of definitions all over the world, or all over the place anyways. So ours at Kroger, our customer lead time means from dev ready, when it's ready for the dev to be picked up, or we've committed that we're going to work on it, to actually, I'm going to change that again. It's been refined and we're ready to work on it, because that is a little different about commitment. So we're ready to work on it. And when it's deployed, system lead time is pretty close. It's when we start to be in progress until it's deployed. And then team lead time is kind of meant to be, well, the team is really only can affect the time we start to the time it's ready to go to prod. I think another one that we actually don't track right now, but is as important, if not more so, and that's the end-to-end lead time. And that is best served because you can break that up into chunks, right? So in our, like, for example, on this end-to-end lead time, the development piece of that, right? When we're in dev, on the dev side, it's on average, it takes 6 days to get through that cycle. But yet we're only doing 12 hours, right? So a day and a half of time spent. So that's 25%. So we're waiting 4.5 days for the test to be available. So how much faster can we get if we could shrink that wait time? And a similar thing on the testing side, we have about a 6 day on average. It's in the testing and stage, I think it could be 8 to 10 based on our cadence and holidays and such. So 6 is the average, right? So, and it says 0.75 to 0.5. I would say it's and that's testing and it's testing time, and there's a little bit of dev time if there's issues in testing, right, that they come back in. Only if it's minor, though, because if we find a bug or a test where it's not working, we do create a bug ticket, and they'll track their time through the system to get it until they meet up, right, until it's fixed. So we have, again, some opportunity in testing in UAT, right? We're only expending a 1.5 or 0.25 on here, but yet we have 12 days. So we have 10 days of wait time, waste, which will, the lean will tell you that it's waste. So there's some opportunity. We're looking at those opportunities as we speak. So this is another busy chart. I don't know if anyone's seen the this report at all in Jira, but it helps, the control charts, they help find bottlenecks. It takes a while. I mean, these bullet points are pretty important to understand. First is to get started, help identifying what you do want to track. It's going to take some data quality improvements or clean to get to where you want. It's going to take a few process changes, right? Because we went to stories and we defined a release, and you got to get those things into your report so that you're getting meaningful data out of it. So it takes time, and but get started, because the value that you get, right, is gives you some better insight into what you're doing and what the impact might be if we can change things, if we can improve, or something to track, see if there's improvement based on what we're doing as well. Then this final report here is not getting much into it, but the cumulative flow diagram, if you look, there's the colors are represented by each phase in your workflow. So you have to do, analyze, design, at least in this particular one, right? Develop, test, and done. So if I look at from, what was this? So from analyze to done, we could say, just do the simple math, 15 minus 5, it's taken 10 days to get to, nope, I take that back. On from analyze to done, I have 10 items in progress. That's what I have, right? So I don't know, maybe it's a 10-person team, that'd be perfect, right? But that just kind of gives you, if it gets too big, some of these sections over here, you might say, sometimes this isn't a very good chart, but sometimes one gets bigger than the other, and it shows that there's a bigger work in progress. Also, if you take a particular day, you can say, how much time is it taking to finish this feature from here to here, which is what, 17 to 22 days. So our cycle time is about 5 days at any given point in time. So one final word. So Kroger actually allowed me to have some of this time, but wanted to say Kroger is named one of the top 100 2023 places to work in IT, and check us out. I got some information down there and a link to this. Any questions?
Hey, Tom. So this is Naman here, and I just had a question on this. Like, do you use just Kanban? Because in my experience, I had been using Kanban along with a Scrum. So is that you are just using Kanban, or like Scrum and sprint cycles, or just Kanban here? So
Right now we are using, we're probably more Scrumban. I don't even think we're really, because we're managing by release. We have a 2-week sprint cycle. So I just don't care on our team anyways, and I've gotten approval from leadership in that regards, is I don't care what my sprint looks like, right? My sprint metrics look like. We care about getting software out. So we're using some Kanban methodology. So the Scrum side, which I think is what helps, and that goes back to the maturity levels, is we're using Scrum cadences or feedbacks or ceremonies, if you will. That, I think that's important, because it's not, you don't need, Kanban doesn't mean no meetings, right? You still need some of that structure, right, to get into and some of that maturity. And I think personally, I feel Scrum is a better place to start. If you're new into it, Scrum's a better place to start than Kanban. Because Scrum kind of forces you to in some of those ceremonies, right? And they're valuable ceremonies, and you need them in Kanban as well. So our Kanban, when we do sprint planning, we're only really interested is that they're covered for at least the start of the sprint till until the next time we meet. So 2 to 5 days is all we don't fill it up for 2 weeks because our environment also has a lot of it changes faster than 2 weeks. So we're just looking at what does 3 days look like, and then worried about filling that backlog up that people can go pick up when they need work. Does that help answer the question?
Sure, definitely. So it looks like you are just doing the Kanban without Scrum, right?
We're on a Scrum sprint, right? But we're not paying attention. So we're having our board is a sprint board. We have some sprint and we do sprints, next sprint. We just don't pay attention to the metrics. So we're using our Kanban flow, right? I think when we want to sprint, you're supposed to finish everything in a sprint. We don't pay attention to that because that would cause us to write 4 tickets, 3 or 4 tickets. We do 1 ticket. It's only 3 points, right? Which is 3 days. So why are we doing half-point tickets just to get things done in a sprint?
Got it. Thank you.
Okay, anybody else?
Well, this is Pam Adams. I typed in that question earlier. Especially with an area that maybe has been kind of focused on that whole sprint collaborative, kind of doing the things together approach, as that starting place. And then you kind of look at this, and I get how agile it is, but kind of then re-explaining, helping people understand that you're seeing waterfall things and waterfall steps kind of in a flow. To kind of manage that conversation about how this is agile as well. It's not trying to bring waterfall back into the world.
Yeah, I mean, that's a good call out. I hear that's a good question because I hear that a lot. Well, that's just agile. Well, it's really iterative, right? If you look at the manifesto, it's iterative. And some of that concept is to, we'll have a big story, right? Or let's say we want this to done. Well, how long is it going to take you? And 8 to 20 days. Well, can we break that up? Why is it going to take us 8 to 20 days? So you got to have that conversation of breaking that up. Because in most stories, most of the time, they'll have, trying to think, we just kind of had one, for instance, wanted to move a bunch of files. We had to change something in the files, the way we were doing that to a new way. So it's almost like tech debt, but there's 20 of them, right? So rather than saying, I'm going to do all 20 of them, do it this way and do them kind of one at a time, we say, take maybe the first one and maybe do a spike and say, what's the best approach? And then out of that spike, how do we want to approach finishing these 20 files? Because in reality, it's best you learn by doing. So our spikes would say, okay, here's how I think I want to do it. Now let me try that with 1 file and see how it works all the way through the system. Don't try to do all 20 files, because each time you do that file, it's a learning opportunity for the next one you do. All right, so then the next file, okay, from this first file, I ran into these dependencies or these bottlenecks. What can I do to fix those or understand what they are before I start them? So I think it's just a learning. When you break it up into smaller chunks, as Agile likes you to do, you get that learning, or feedback cycle, if you want to say, much faster than let me know what you do in 20 days. You have it done in 20 days. And we're helping them, people when we do that, we're actually getting it done faster, right? Because I've seen developers will take all 20 tickets. Oh, they're all the same. I'm going to do them this way. Well, now that you got them all into test and there's an issue, now you got to do all 20 of them instead of just 1. So I think that's one reason or one way to maybe say it's more iterative, right? And breaking it into smaller chunks and doing the work because you have learning cycles. So does that help? Did I hit any other?
Yeah, I think, yeah, like it's, so the agileness that you highlight here is, yeah, it's a flow that maybe looks and has the same kind of words that our waterfall phases had, but we're doing it on smaller pieces in those iterations and then we're gaining those benefits of feedback and adjustments from that agile perspective. Yeah, thank you.
And I would add, if they're dependent stories, as they should be, more, you can start doing things in parallel. It doesn't have to be one person doing it. So those 20 files, now I can break them up and get 3 people to do them and get it done, 3 times faster.
Thank you.
And to that end too, that doesn't mean that they're working independently. We have sessions. Well, they're all welcome to, hey, let's meet for an hour or 2 hours or 3 hours and we'll work on this together. But I like that independency or active leadership is assign people tickets. I know it's somewhat of an anti-pattern for some people, but I think having people pair programming, which is or mob programming, as some of them do, some people can get lost in there, maybe not get recognized of the work they're doing, maybe not learn as well as if they were responsible to do it themselves. So I think it's important to provide everybody should have something to do. They can get together as a group and work on like those 20 tickets. They're fine, get together and work on them together, but it's good to have responsibility for their own tickets. Thanks. Anybody else?
Yeah, I want to share the screen to put the claim code for PDU, and of course, like if any other question, please ask the question.
Would you mind sharing a little more details about Kanban maturity model? So like in terms of like at a highest level, what are the processes and when we can consider that Kanban is at highest level of maturity?
Yeah, I'll have to refer you when you get the slide deck to go to take a look. The highest level, it gets into fit for purpose, rolling into fit for purpose. You got your dependency management. There's a lot more. You maybe have some additional scaling of the Kanban board is reaching all the way upstream and downstream to the other levels of the from requester to consumer. Am I still? I'm not sharing any longer, right?
Yeah, you're not sharing. I'm sharing. I just put the slides or the details for claim code for today's session, and yeah, if you want to share, I can stop sharing. And
no, I'm good. Nope, I just didn't know what I was sharing. What is a good way to get you the deck? Because I think mine, I can try sending it to you right now in an email, but it might be too big to send on my side. I don't know about your side.
yeah, if you try email, if email does not work, we will look for another way to send it. And closing, thank you everyone. Thank you everyone, and thank you Tom for this session, and we'll call it done. Thank you.
Yeah. Thanks. Bye.
Record.